So in today's video, I'm going to be previewing Hartlepool United versus Bradford City. Then in the second part of today's video, I'm going to be bringing you guys my Game Week 36 League 2 score predictions. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 70 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you are new as well. We are now on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get your score predictions and what your starting 11 would be for this game down in the comment section down below. Now it feels like an absolute age ago since that game against Newport County, coming off the back of 2 draws away from home against 2 lower half mid-table sort of sides. It's really frustrating. We absolutely need to win it. We need 6 points really from this game against Hartlepool and Tuesday night's game against Carlisle United. Anything other than 6 points, I think we can certainly count out automatic promotion. 4 are the absolute minimum if the draw is against Carlisle, but I think it's got to be 6. I think we've got a 4 or 5 point gap now between us and third place. I think Stevenage and Carlisle actually play this weekend as well, so that is certainly a game to keep an eye out for. Stockport and Mansfield as well, I think that is a fixture that is coming up this weekend, but with Mansfield's injury record, I can only really see that going one way with Stockport's home form as well. But make sure you drop a like on today's video, subscribe if you're new as well, and let's get into it. So if we start out then with the current Sky Bet League 2 table, my team Bradford City, we currently sit 6th in the table. After 35 matches, we've got 16 wins, 11 draws, 8 defeats, 43 goals scored, 38 goals conceded, which is still the second least in the whole league. That leaves us then on a positive 13 goal difference and 59 points. Our last couple of matches being a draw, a win, and a win. Them last couple of games then being a 1-1 draw away at Newport County, a 0-0 draw away at Walsall, a 2-0 win at home to Colchester United, a 2-0 win away at Gillingham, and then just before that we had a 1-0 win away at Doncaster Rovers. So we're on some good form. I think it's only 1 loss in our last 11 matches. So if we compare that then to Hartlepool United, they're currently sat just outside the relegation zone in 22nd and 23rd, have 2 games in hand on Hartlepool. At this moment in time then, like I said, they sit 22nd in the table. After 36 matches, they've only got 6 wins at 12 draws, 18 defeats, 38 goals scored, 64 goals conceded, which is the most in the league by 6. The team in second is Crawley on 58, but granted they do still have 2 more games to play. That does obviously leave them then on a minus 26 goal difference and 30 points. The last couple of games then have been a draw, a loss and a draw. Them last couple of games then being a 1-1 draw at home at 2 Northampton Town. That game should have been 0-0. Neither goal in that game it should have stood. They also had a 1-1 draw away at Tranmere Rovers, a 3-3 draw at home to Walsall. I think they were 3-1 down in the 90th minute and managed to pull that back to 3-3. They had a 1-0 defeat at home to Newport County, and then just before that they had a 2-2 draw away at AFC Wimbledon. Now let's get into the team though that I would personally go with if I was Mark Hughes. Now more than likely we'll see probably an unchanged team, or if there is to be any change, it'll be 1 change with Derbyshire maybe coming in for Costello. I've gone with a fair number of changes, to be honest with you. We expect to see a lot of players coming back from injury for this game. I think Oliver, Nevers, Derbyshire and Osadibe should all be back in contention for this one. So I would personally line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. I think at home against third from bottom, you cannot be playing a 4-diamond-2. It simply is. It's a really good defensively, but going forward, we're just not creating enough. You know, we haven't really played well in that formation at home for a long time, if at all, to be honest with you. Maybe the Mansfield game, but apart from that, I can't really think of many good home performances in that formation. So I'd personally like to see a 4-2-3-1. In goal, I would go with Harry Lewis. Arguments he should be banned for this game, but I think by the letter of the law, the yellow card for his handball outside the penalty area against Newport County was probably the right decision, in my opinion. He couldn't really do anything about the goal. Didn't really have too much to do. Apart from that, it was just kind of a frustrating performance overall, but I don't think Lewis did anything wrong, and he's obviously one of the best goalkeepers in this league, so he has to start in goal. Into the back 4 then, at right back I would go with Brad Halliday. If you didn't already check out my video midweek, Brad Halliday has actually accumulated the most cards for Bradford City this season. I think it was 9 yellow cards and the 1 red card, which is obviously not great, but he's been very good for us so far this season. His form has dipped slightly over the last couple of games. I think he was quite poor against Newport, but again, like what I've mentioned before, is when you're playing against the 5 at the back, their wing backs are going to have so much space on that far side because we don't have a winger who's able to track that Halliday to tuck inside, so that it does seem like Halliday's constantly getting overrun, but because of the way that we're playing, we're kind of allowing that to happen, if you get what I mean. But he's still been very good for us so far this season, so I like to see him keep his place at right back. Into the 2 centre backs then, at first I would go with Matty Platt. I thought he was okay against Newport. Again, couldn't really do anything about the goal and was pretty solid defensively. Again, once again, I don't think Platt is a bad player. I think Quicktrill's probably better, but with our defensive record, we've conceded like 2 goals in 6-7 games. I think it would be really harsh to drop Platt. I would obviously partner him with Sam Stubbs. He's been absolutely brilliant. He has been fantastic since coming in from Exeter. I can only give him so much praise because he's been absolutely fantastic. He is probably one of the first names on the team sheet as well at this moment in time, so I'd like to see him partnered with Matty Platt. At left back for me, I'd bring in Talaji Bowler. I can't watch another 90 minutes of Liam Rideout. He's far too slow to be playing for Bradford City. He doesn't really suit the system. I think Bowler, as much as he might not be as good defensively, if you're going at home against a team from third bottom, we need to be playing an attacking offensive team. So I'd personally like to see Bowler in there. Rideout obviously scored the own goal. It was a pretty unfortunate own goal. You know, I think if it's not a rainy day, that goal doesn't go in, but because of the weather, it just skids off the top of his head and takes it away from Harry Lewis. But for me personally, I'd like to see Bowler come back in at left back. More than likely, he will go with Liam Rideout. Into the 2 central midfielders then. At first, I would go with Adam Clayton. He did look quite leggy against Newport County, to be honest with you, but I think in a 2-man midfield, he can be the man that sits a little bit more, and I would obviously partner him with Ryan East. I would have gone Emmanuel Osadibe with him having this little bit of a knock over the last couple of games and him still coming back to full fitness. I don't think he'll be quite fit enough to start him, but after an hour, if we're not winning, maybe take Clayton off and you go East and Osadibe in that centre of midfield. I think East, whenever he has played, has looked pretty decent, although his little cameo against Newport for 8 minutes or whatever it was, didn't look really too good, but again, you got to be making subs far earlier than that because it takes a player 10-15 minutes to settle into the game. So I think that was quite another harsh decision by Mark Hughes. I do think that is a big criticism that I have of Mark Hughes. He does seem to make his substitutions far too late. He's done it a couple of times this season where he's made them quite early and it's worked well for us. You know, he did it against, I want to say it was Colchester, and it worked really well for us, but there's been times this season where we're struggling for a goal and we've seen players not come on until after 80 minutes where it just seems pretty pointless. But my midfield partnership would be Clayton and Ryan East. I thought Gilead looked absolutely shot to bits against Newport County. I wouldn't even have him in my squad for this one. I know he's had a week's rest, but we need him for Tuesday night. He comes back in and plays on Tuesday, in my opinion. You need his energy and defensive prowess, is that the right word? So I think Gilead has to play Tuesday. If you're doing that, then I'd like to see Clayton and East in the midfield. Into the front 3 then, behind the striker. On the right hand side, I would go with Scott Banks. Again, had an okay performance against Newport, but didn't really get involved too much because he wasn't on the pitch for long enough. I think he's certainly one of our better players, and the fact that he's been on the bench for so long now just doesn't make sense to me. Even if you play him up front with Andy Cook, if Hughes is adamant we've got to stick with the diamond, anyone but Darragh Costello up front, I'd rather have Colin Doyle up front. That man is, not very good at football. But for me personally, I'd like to see Banks start on that right hand side. In the number 10 position then, I'd like to see Matt Derbyshire. I wouldn't have Jamie Walker in my starting 11. I think he's been poor over the last couple of matches. Apart from Gillingham away, I think he has been really poor in my opinion. Maybe he could do with the rest as well. I know we didn't have a game in midweek, but we've got a massive game on Tuesday night, so maybe he comes back in for that. Derbyshire playing as that number 10, he gives a little bit more support to Andy Cook as well, and he can, as a offensive formation, you could maybe even see it be a 4-2-4 at times as well, but Derbyshire just dropping in a little bit more to do that defensive work. On the left hand side, I'd go with Thierry Nevers. We don't really have many options to play out on that left side, obviously, now that we don't have Tyreek Wright, who is literally not even getting on the bench for Plymouth Argyle now. I'm sure he's certainly regretting moving down to Devon? Is Devon the right place? I think it's Devon, isn't it? But for me personally, I think Chapman was just so frustrating against Newport County, and while he did well against Colchester, you maybe bring Nevers on, you start Nevers, give him an hour or so, and then if it's not working, that's maybe when you bring someone like a Harry Chapman on. But Nevers should be back from his injury, and from what we've seen of him, the glimpses that we've seen like away at Wimbledon and stuff like that, I think he has shown promise and he looks like to take a man on. He's very direct in his play, and that could work well for us against what is a pretty slow Hartlepool defence, in my opinion. And up front, obviously, Andy Cook, 20 league goals, 23 in all competitions. Scored a brilliant goal against Newport County. He's now scoring goals out of nothing. He's not needing the service. He'll just pick the ball from 20-25 yards, beat a couple of players and stick it in the back of the net. If you told me at the end of last season Andy Cook would be in the position that he is now, scoring goals like what he is now, I simply would not have believed you. He's really, I wouldn't say turned his career around, but he just had a frustrating period at the end of last season, and I'm so glad that he stayed in the summer, worked his way back into the side, and he's been absolutely brilliant. On the bench then for me, that'd leave Colin Doyle, Romany Critchlow, Richie Smallwood, Emmanuel Osadibe, Jamie Walker, Harry Chapman, and Verdane Oliver, which means the players who would miss out would be Heath Richardson, Luke Hendry, Oscar Threlkeld, Timmy Odesina, Kieran Kelly, Alex Gilead, Dion Pereira, Abo Issa, and Darragh Costello. Costello. Now let's get into my Game Week 36 League 2 score predictions. Starting out then with the early kickoff between Bradford City and Hartlepool United. I think this has got a draw written all over it, so I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. AFC Wimbledon versus Crawley Town. I think Wimbledon will get back to winning ways with a 2-1 home win. Carlisle United versus Stevenage FC. I think it'll be a very, very tight game. I'm just going to edge Carlisle though to nick that 1-0. Harrogate Town versus Barrow AFC. I'm going to go with a 2-1 away win for Barrow. Leyton Orient versus Colchester United. I'm going to go with a 3-1 home win for Orient. Northampton Town versus Crewe Alexandria. I'm going to go with a 2-0 home win for the Cobblers. Rochdale AFC versus Swindon Town. I'm going to back Rochdale here for a shock 2-1 home win against Swindon. Salford City versus Doncaster Rovers. I'm going to go with a comfortable 2-0 home win for Salford. Stockport County versus Mansfield Town. I think this will be high scoring. 4-3, 3-2, something like that. I'm going to go with 3-2 though specifically. Tranmere Rovers versus Newport County. I certainly don't think this will be one for a neutral. I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw. Walsall FC versus Gillingham FC. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. And the final game is obviously not a League 2 fixture between Brighton and Hove Albion and Grimsby Town. That is a 2:15 kickoff on Sunday in the FA Cup. Good luck to Grimsby and all that sort of stuff. But that is where I'm going to leave it for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 70 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are now on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed. If you haven't already, with that post notification bell on, it's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get your score predictions and what your starting 11 would be for this game down in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Check out my second channel as well if you haven't already. The link to that is also down in the description down below. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all very soon for another video. Peace.